Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to GRC Football TV. In the studio, you have the angry one, Big Dunc, and Mr. Hinder. Big Steve is probably out there somewhere celebrating Messi being the best player ever, or is he not? Big Dunc, is Messi the best player ever? And does this put to bed the argument between him and Ronaldo?
Right. No, number one, is he the best player ever? Like all these young people, like, yeah, Messi's the best ever, acting like Pele isn't chilling somewhere with his 3 World Cups. So for me, no, Pele. Okay, man's got 3 World Cups. Like, I don't care what was going on. My son says to me, "Oh, how many Ballon d'Ors did Pele win?" I'm like, shut up. Like, so Pele, like, again, he was of an era, like most of us probably none of us ever saw him live play, but like there's footage of him around and the stuff he did. So like for me, he's there. Messi can go hand in hand with Maradona in second place with their World Cup each. When it comes to Messi against Ronaldo, so Ronaldo was already like doing his legacy down when he was stropping away for Man United, stropping away for Portugal when he got subbed off, stropping away down the tunnel crying instead of like congratulating Morocco players or commiserating with his teammates. He was already doing that, and then Messi just went and buried the guy with 7 goals, probably the player of the tournament, and a World Cup to boot. So it looks like Messi has well and truly put that one to bed.
Well, definitely not probably. He did win the best player of the tournament for the award, so he was definitely the best player for the tournament. I don't know if he was the best player for Argentina, but that's a conversation that we can all have. Mr. Hinder, so of course, Big Dunker said Messi is the second best player in the world, tied with Maradona, according to him. And he thinks Messi has, finally ended the argument between Messi and Ronaldo, who is better. I know you're a big Ronaldo fan. Do you agree that this lifting this World Cup puts the argument to bed?
I mean, the argument's always going to be there because it's subjective. I think Argentina obviously played to Messi's strengths and allow Messi to walk around the pitch and dictate play and be the creative playmaker that he is in the attacking force, whereas Portugal decided to treat Ronaldo like he was 22 or 18 and ask him to start charging down. They made a fundamental mistake of dropping him for that player that got 3 goals, and then it was going to be the Ronaldo replacement, and then was absolutely rubbish the next game after that.
Sorry, just not to cut you. They made a mistake for dropping him, and then the player scores 3 goals.
Yeah, but then they continued to play him like he was going to be the replacement. You don't become a replacement overnight. You need time, and
you probably do if you score a hat-trick in a World Cup knockout game.
You'd assume if you scored a hat-trick you'd win any game though, but you tell Mbappe about that one. One thing that I did love about the World Cup final today was every player that won a trophy was already at that game. Ridiculous. Like, best young player, the goalkeeper, the player of the tournament, like no one else at all. It was everybody at that one. It was like they can only pick players that got to the final that have to be there.
Well, when you look at that, though, you're a stats man. So when you think about it, for example, Martinez and Pickford share equal clean sheets. Would you give it to Pickford?
I wouldn't have given it to Pickford at all. I don't think that makes a good keeper. I'd have given it to the Croatian one. I think he has a couple of
for one game.
He had a couple of good
Livakovic, he won 2 penalty shootouts and he made some great saves as well.
Yeah, and Martinez conceded 2 goals in 2 games against, obviously, Netherlands and France very, very late on. So it was just a bit, I don't know, it felt a bit orchestrated. Back onto the Messi one, that's a debate that could go on forever of like who is the best, because in my time, R9 Ronaldo for me is still one of the best players to ever play football, but his career was quite short in comparison to other ones. Lineker was drooling over Maradona for the whole of the commentary today as well, and everyone was having their OnlyFans over Messi for most of the game. So there's going to be that player that you probably grew up with is going to be your player that you would find is going to be the best ever. Pele winning 3 World Cups is a good shout. Your kids are right. Did he win a Ballon d'Or? No.
But he invented every single skill 3 ever known to man. Everything we've ever seen.
Listen, I'm 100% thinking Pele's an amazing player. But you always will come back to probably the era of you grew up of who your best ever player is, right? Because you don't know better.
Dunc, your kids were wrong because there was no Ballon d'Or at the time, so Pele couldn't win it if there was a Ballon.
I know,
so
that's why it's
no
a stupid question. I tell him to shut up.
The angry one. So looking at the final today and the way Argentina played, you obviously the best team always wins the tournament. And looking at the way the game went today with France not looking like they were in the game till later on, would you agree? Seeing as a man that has seen many World Cups, would you agree that this is good? This is actually the best football final World Cup that the world has ever seen.
It's the best. It was a complete emotional roller coaster. I didn't even know who I wanted to win. Even the first 80 minutes, okay, France were in it, but I was enjoying Argentina the way they were playing and stuff. Then they get back into it. It was just like, who's going to win? It was like knife edge. To be fair, France could have won it at the end. Argentina could have won it at the end. It goes to penalty shootouts. Obviously, they had the better keeper, so Argentina would have had the edge anyway. But I can't remember a better final as a neutral. Obviously, if there's a final with your team in it, in any sport, you're gonna probably remember that. But as a neutral, I can't remember a better game, full stop, end to end, let alone a better final. It was just like back and forth. It was unbelievable.
Okay, I'll stick to you because you're a man that can easily be riled up for no reason,
I don't know where you get that idea from.
and then you need no reason to be inspired to play a game. Yes, there was the conversation that there were viruses in the French camp, and certain players were ill. However, what more inspiration or motivation do you need from a World Cup final? Because France didn't start that game well at all. What do you think was the reason for that? I mean, they're defending champions. You were playing in the final. Why do you need to wait till X amount of time? And how much credit will you give to the Champ for making those changes in the 40th minute?
They looked shook. First of all, they didn't look.
They're defending champions, though.
They didn't look at it at all. Dodgy touches, nervousness. Like maybe because they were worried about making history, being only the third team to win back-to-back World Cups, whatever it is. I don't know, but they didn't look at it. Conversely, though, Argentina were 100% at it. So you can see. I'll give you an example. You're in a World Cup final, Dembele. You're playing against what's his name, Di Maria. Very, very left-footed. He's only going to do one thing. He's going to come inside. You turn your back like a mug. All right, he's done ya. No worries. You've got people in the box. You push him and give him a chance to dive or fall or whatever you want to call it to get a penalty. That for me isn't how you go about winning World Cups. That to me looks like you're playing let's say a normal league game when it doesn't matter. Because in finals you only get one chance. So if you take that as a snippet of the French mindset, you can understand why they're 2-0 down. Because everything was walking pace. They're holding the ball too long, dribbling it for too long. When you look at Messi would get the ball 2 or 3 touches. If nothing's on, he'll just get it back. He kept playing that ball out to Di Maria all the time because they're moving the ball quickly. France were trying to carry the ball like they're 12-year-olds all the way up the pitch. It's a difference in mindset and motivation to me personally until they get that goal, and then they come alive. As soon as they got that goal, it was a different game. So
it was. I was watching that game and just wondering how much more motivation do you need? You're the defending champions. This is the final. You have players there: Hugo Lloris, Mbappe, other players at Varane. Players that could possibly win another World Cup, which would be wonderful in terms of their Arsenal or their CV. Dunc, though, we're going to pick out certain players at Argentina. Everybody's talking about how great Messi has been this tournament, best player at the tournament. But I'll call a name and you just tell me how instrumental this guy has been to the team. We're going to go to one of our favorite people that we probably don't even talk about much in the Premier League, Alex McAllister. The Brighton boy is a World Cup winner, playing really well, assist for the second goal. Please tell me, Brighton has always been that club that people go and do shopping here and there. Surely he has done enough to say that he can play for the top 6 in the Premier League.
Yeah, I like that stat. That's class stat. Brighton have a World Cup winner. I said that stat earlier to my kids as well. That's mad. Like, yeah, he had a really good tournament. You know, he's playing really well. They said he got his first goal for Argentina as well during the tournament. So yeah, he was really like instrumental in the success. I think Argentina are just a case in point of like a good team working well. Like obviously Messi takes all the limelight, but I mean some of the other players aren't huge names. Like McAllister's not a big name. Who's the guy they were playing on the left all the time? His name is skipping me at the minute. He scored a cracking goal in one of the knockout games. I can't remember his name at the minute. But they've got some
player
players.
of the tournament.
Say again?
Young player of the tournament. Was it Enzo
Fernandez.
No, I'm not thinking of Enzo Fernandez. Although he's another one, like 21 and young.
Was it the Paul?
Say again?
The Paul.
No. We'll find it. It's the wide player who was playing on the left when Di Maria wasn't playing. Anyway, we'll get it. Or it might have been on the right. But anyway, they perform really well as a team, and don't forget they were on a serious hot streak coming into the tournament. Was it like 34 matches, something like that? 34, 35 matches. So they just gelled really well as a team and came good at the right time. So yeah, like we knew Messi was always going to take the limelight, probably last World Cup, superstar. But yeah, they've got some other great players in there that really put shifts in.
Okay, well, that's Alex McAllister. I'm going to call another name, and I'm going to Mr. Hinder because, he is, as him and Big Steve, we don't know who's number one goalkeeper for GRC, but Big Steve isn't here, so Mr. Hinder is filling in. Martinez. What do you know about making good decisions, Mr. Hinder? This guy was almost slaughtered for leaving Arsenal. Aston Villa. Brighton has a World Cup winner. Aston Villa also has a World Cup winner. And how important has Martinez been to the Argentine team? Bearing in mind Copa America last year, and now he's a World Cup winner.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Argentina are necessarily blessed with a plethora of good quality goalkeepers. You've got Rulli, maybe, and then Martinez. It's nice to see that you've got two Premier League goalies in the final of the World Cup. One of them who didn't want to play for Arsenal anymore and went to a bigger club, and then he's won the World Cup where the current Arsenal goalkeeper can't even get in the international team. So yeah, a little bit bizarre from that point of view. I think he was, some of his saves were instrumental. Probably could have made a few more saves to be fair to him. I think he would have accepted that. But I think he organised the defence well. I think they what was so good about Argentina compared to any other team that I'd seen at the World Cup was how much of a team they were. And that was the defend as a team, attack as a team,
apart from Morocco,
win as a team. I thought they did everything exceptionally well, a cut above everybody else, which is obviously why they won it in the end. Some big blips along the way, but they managed to overcome those, and that was, as a team, I think was instrumental to them. And yeah, full credit to Martinez for helping guide the team there.
Eventually, we will go to talk about Gareth Southgate and our beautiful English team. But before we do that, I'm going to go to the angry one. And the angry one, you were wondering how a man can not score 2 penalties. And Mbappe does score 2, scores a hat-trick, and ends up on the losing side. So now, Mbappe is going to be 23 in a few days. He's going to be 23 in a few days. And he could have had another World Cup if not for terrible penalties. Now, the question is, have we seen the handing over of the baton, the handing over of the torch? Is Mbappe going to take over from Ronaldo and Messi to be the best player in the world?
He was going to anyway, to be honest, I think. I mean, the candidates really are him and possibly Haaland at the moment. You could argue Vinny Jr., who knows. But, I mean, to do that in a World Cup final, to just basically pull your team's socks up, and that second goal, it's ridiculous. 2 things of genius. First of all, he headers the ball inside for 1-2 rather than outside to the fullback. Then he gets the 1-2 back. He should really take a touch, but he does some sort of mad scissors kick volley. That's genius.
Well, we can go back to when Mr. Hinder was being a bit harsh about Martinez. Should Martinez have saved that?
He got a hand to it, but if you watch him, I'm not a goalkeeper, Neil will say, but you see him setting his feet to the right, expecting Mbappe to take the touch. But because Mbappe hits it first time, he's kind of wrong-footed. He still gets a little touch, but not enough. Ultimately, he saved 2 or 3 penalties. So I mean, and he saved that shot at the end. So I think
I thought his hands in the final were really weak. Even some of his, he made it was another one of the penalties, the shootouts, and he was phenomenal, and his hands were strong. But that final, he seemed a little bit weaker on the hands.
Are you talking about Martinez?
Martinez. Both of the goals, he got a hand to it.
Yeah, he touched it, but it was just too much power.
Yeah, but he's a world-class goalkeeper. I'd be expecting him to do slightly better than that.
But regardless, the ball's past him. Because the world-class striker hitting the ball. It's not granny, is it? It's going at pace. So by the time he's touched it, it's gone.
Well, as you did say, Mr. Hinder as a goalkeeper, he probably
Well,
thinks
it's
he's not impressed.
only
He's not
five-a-side
impressed
in
with
the part of his
Martinez that
kids.
has won the World Cup. But we can see now. The question, Dunk. I know how you like to put things right. Tell people how it is. Di Maria, was that a penalty, or was that too soft?
It was an easy penalty. Like, I think I was watching the Irish channel because I was on the internet player. Like you said, one of the pundits just said he's done him like a kipper. Like, you got to agree with that. Di Maria just absolutely done him. So he goes inside, and then like as soon as like the guy's behind him, and what made it worse, he might have got away with it. It was just the real obvious like shove in the back as well as clipping the heels as well. So yeah, I think it was a penalty, but like we said, Di Maria just did him there.
Well, apart from Di Maria, actually, buying that penalty, as they say, he had a very good game. Bearing in mind, he hadn't been starting a lot of games for Argentina because he had picked up knocks, he was injured. But the Argentine team seemed to, and everybody always talks about Messi being the best, but they seem to have played for Messi, as Mr. Hinders has said. With the French team, though, rumor has it, and this is me putting on my CNN hat here, Doc. Rumor has it that that could have been Deschamps' last game, and there's a possibility that Zidane will be the next manager. We spoke about France being, loads of talent. Do you think, the angry one, that it's a young team, this was just a day off for France, and the way they went down fighting, do you see them, this shouldn't, really hinder their progress much, especially if Zidane becomes a manager?
Shouldn't really. I mean, they didn't play exceptionally well throughout the tournament. Probably should have lost to England. Probably should have lost to Morocco. Morocco had a striker. Probably would have lost to Morocco if England had a striker. Probably would have lost to England as well, to be honest. But, they got through it. Mbappe picks them up. That's just the mark of champions or good teams, that sometimes individual flair gets you over the line, even though you're not playing well collectively. So I mean, he's done his time. He can live with his head held high, if need be. There's no disgrace in losing that game at all. Ultimately, even though you played rubbish, you were back in the game and you got to penalties, and ultimately they had a better keeper than you.
In terms of clarification, I mean, a lot of records were broken or at least matched this tournament. Neymar matching Pele's record of 77 goals. Giroud becoming the highest goal scorer for France. However, in terms of Miroslav Klose is the highest goal scorer in the World Cup with 16 goals for all appearances. Mbappe is 12 goals.
Already?
And of course, Mr. Hinder corrected me that he's only going to be 24 soon. So if he continues to play the way he plays, he could probably play at least another 3 World Cups. So, it's fair to say that he'll be coming after Giroud's record really soon. And then, going for all the World Cup goals, as long as he keeps his form.
And they qualify.
Big Dunc, since you put an end to, or at least you started by putting an end to the Ronaldo-Messi argument, Mbappe plays for France, array of talent. They most likely will qualify for more tournaments than Norway. So could this be the beginning of, saying we can put an end to the argument between Mbappe and Haaland?
How can you put an end to an argument that's only just...
I'm just asking.
Put the end to an argument that's only just starting. No, come on, that's going to be the argument for that. We've got 10 years of that argument. So,
can I quickly clarify about Ronaldo and Messi? I think we can all agree in this era, Messi is the best player, but you could argue or make a point that Ronaldo is the best goal scorer, because sometimes they differentiate between best player and best goal scorer. Goals wise, Ronaldo is an absolute beast. But he's not the best player, as Duncan says. Messi is.
Well, okay, good clarification. Dunc let me down. I thought he was going to tell me something that the argument was over.
Holland didn't even play in the World Cup, so obviously
that's exactly my point. So if he's not going to win a World Cup, because Messi winning the World Cup actually ends the argument between Messi and Ronaldo.
What?
So if
but they both played at World Cups though. You at least got to play.
Yeah, but he's not going to win. Come on, we know this.
Well, JJ's just ending Haaland's career now because he didn't play at this World Cup. That's it, dude. You're over. You're never going to be the best.
What about Euros if they qualify?
He should have carried his team.
Surely, it's harder for a player from a lesser quality footballing nation to win it. Whereas you've got people on the top ones: Brazil, Spain, Portugal, Argentina. Like, of course they're going to have a better chance of winning the World Cup and France, etc., because they're playing it with better quality players. If you're from a country of only a couple of million people, it's a lot harder for them to get there. But to get the talent out of that is we're seeing. But also, the World Cup goes to 46 teams from next year. So I think there's only 195 countries in the whole world, apart from there's like two little ones that don't count, like the Vatican. So I think one in 5 countries automatically qualify for the World Cup. It's going to be ridiculous.
He said they're rethinking it after the best World Cup ever.
They've refought the groups, haven't they? They were going to change it so it was like bigger. But
it was going to be groups of 3 and the top 2 go through. So like an absolute waste of time.
Just put everybody through, right?
If Haaland was German, though, let's say if Haaland was German, then we could have that debate a bit more, because I think if Haaland's German, Germany are up there almost every time. But he's not. So,
if Haaland was English,
he's a Leeds lad. What?
Oh yeah, actually, technically,
he's already played for someone else. Damn him.
So the conversation that's going on is Ronaldo says he's not going to retire from international football until they stop picking him. Messi, we believe that should have been his last game for Argentina.
He said his last World Cup, didn't he? Not his last game.
Yeah, he said last World Cup. Yeah,
last World Cup. Okay, cool. But if you were Messi, Mr. Hinder, wouldn't you just? What else is he going to do? Copa America? Is he just going to play friendlies till he feels he can't play no more? And before you answer that, his next move, if he leaves PSG and goes to the MLS, do you actually think Argentina will pick him?
Well, he's going to be it's the same quality as league as he's playing in now. It's a Mickey Mouse league, right? He doesn't. Well, I've already said he doesn't run, so the guy can carry on playing until he's 50, like the way that he plays. And I mean that in like the greatest respect, because the way he plays football is with his brain. And I think the Angry Man was talking about it earlier. Like, he lets the ball do the work. Basically, he's not there taking on 15 men and running backwards and forwards. He's looking for the pass. He's looking to 2 or 3 touches. If he takes a player on, he then recycles the ball. It's a constant looking of how do we get that ball forward and how do we recycle it as quickly as possible to get it to where it needs to safely. He's not just hoofing it up the pitch. So if he goes to the MLS, to me, it's no different to playing in PSG, right? Okay, they've got the Champions League. Fine, that's a lot harder. But like, how many teams in France are any good? Maybe 2 or 3. He'll play in the MLS, and the rest of the players, it will probably be more competitive of who's going to win it, because everyone else is equally as bad, right?
So what you're saying is, if he goes to the MLS, play 6 months of football, which is how long their league is, and get the sun,
get the playoffs.
It's the playoffs, soccer. He's still good enough to play for Argentina. That's what you're saying.
Man, he's good enough to walk into any team.
Because PSG and
PSG and the MLS are the same quality. League and MLS, same quality.
Same quality. Wow.
Yeah, man, let's be honest.
If there are any League One listeners, please, people, tell Mr. Hinder something, because that is a massive slap right there. But we shall see how it works out for him. He has lifted the World Cup. He has won every competition he has ever played in. Argentina, the first South American country to win it since Brazil last won it in 2002. Now, before we saw the awards that went to the certain players, so we had Martinez, Golden Glove, of course Mbappe, Golden Boots, Messi, best player of the tournament. I believe Enzo Fernandez was the young player of the tournament.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it was the longest award ceremony known to man. And I felt sorry for France having to sit there through everything before they got their silver medals. Like, just give them their medals and then do all the winners afterwards. It was ridiculous.
No, they had to get everything. They had to get everything out as soon as possible. But I'm sure you guys have your best 11 that you've seen from the World Cup, especially with people saying people like the Croatian goalkeeper was the best. So I will start with you, Big Dunc, in terms of your best 11 and, of course, your player of the tournament, if you disagree with Messi being the player of the tournament.
Right, my best 11. Okay, so I've gone for a formation. I've got it into a formation. Although there aren't many good left backs, but got it into a formation. I tried to represent countries that did well at the World Cup as well. So
you mean you haven't got Hernandez as your left back?
Surprisingly, not. No. Yeah, I'm going through the list. Hernandez, Luke Shaw. I kept my search going on after that one. Right. Okay. We'll start from the back then. I think we mentioned him earlier. I'm going for Livakovic in the sticks. 2 penalty shootouts where he played the hero, made some good saves, and he made a lot of good saves during the game. He plays for Dynamo Zagreb, so I'd be amazed if someone doesn't come in for him in like January or the summer and picks him up, because he had a really good tournament. So he's the keeper. So right back, I'm going for Hakimi of Morocco. So obviously a top player, plays for PSG. Morocco had a great tournament. Obviously they came a bit unstuck in the last 2 games they played, but like the teams they played and didn't concede against, like Portugal, Belgium, Croatia, Spain, like that's mad. Like, so their defense was right up there as one of the best in the tournament, and it was just a shame they couldn't keep it going in the last couple of games. So I've got Hakimi, and next to him I've got El Yamik as well from Morocco. So again, like, I think that was one of the best defenses in the tournament, so I'm going to throw 2 players from them in there. Next centre back, I've gone for Varane. So I think Varane had a really good tournament, and definitely one of the French defenders deserved to be in there. He played most of the games in the tournament, and again, like you said, in the final, played till he like was dropping off dead nearly. So the man put in a shift today. So he's the centre back. So left back, like I said, there weren't a lot of standouts, so I'm going to throw in Acuna there. So again, he was the first choice for Argentina for most of the tournament. Presents a good attacking threat as well as some solid defending there. So those are my back 4. So midfield, I've got three midfielders here. So as a holding midfielder, I've gone for Brozovic. I think the man like was breaking. We were talking about Messi. Brozovic was breaking records for like the most distance run. Like it was something like 16.5 kilometers in one of the games. So the man's a machine. Puts in the shift. I think you'd be happy to have him as your like CDM in your team. So the other midfielders, I've got Bellingham. I think Bellingham had a fantastic breakout tournament for him. Definitely one of the best CMs at the whole tournament. Like I think, again, most countries or clubs would like to have him in their team. There's going to be a serious battle for his signature over the coming months for see where he goes. On the right side, then I've got Saka. I think Saka deserves to be there again. Like, had a fantastic.
Say it loud and clear so Mr. Hinder can hear.
Saka. Well, yeah. Neil has to take the credit. Like, he wouldn't be in this team of the tournament if Neil hadn't kicked him up the arse like all this season, telling him what he needed to do.
Takes a big man to take that credit for someone else. I've said it before, time and time again.
I've got Saka in my team of the tournament, and Neil has to take credit for that. So adding goals into the mix, but he was like a real serious threat in the games he played in. Playing our best player against France as well. So those are my 3 midfielders. In front of them, I'm going to lob Messi. So I'm going to put Messi as the cam. He can just, walk around there as the cam. Obviously, the actual player of the tournament and 7 goals. I don't know what these lads have done, but I think you'd have to be mad to be leaving Messi out of the team. Then I've gone for 2 strikers. The other one you're going to be mad to leave out is Mbappe. Again, 8 goals, like cracking player, doing it on the world stage for 2 World Cups in a row now. And then next to him, I've actually gone for Alvarez of Argentina. Again, like a breakout tournament, 4 goals, and he was really instrumental to the way they played. And Neil said, like, Argentina did the running for Messi. He's one of the players that did some of the running as like the other attacker.
In the young player of the tournament.
Say again, Jay?
I'm sure he's eligible to win young player of the tournament. I was surprised they actually gave it to Enzo Fernandez.
I'm sure he was, yeah.
I mean, he had a cracking World Cup. But anyway,
he did, yeah. So those would be mine. And again, when you're coming down to player of the tournament, you would have been watching a different tournament if you weren't choosing between Messi and Mbappe. And Messi got it over the line at the end. So I think as the winner, I would agree with the decision to give Messi player of the tournament.
All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Big Dunc giving you his 11 from the Qatar 2022 World Cup. The angry one.
All right, mine's a little bit different, but not massively. So I'm going Emi Martinez in goal. He was outstanding. Made some big saves, especially in the final and beforehand. And he was a master of shithousery, which I love from any player, really, to be honest, when you want to win stuff. Hakimi, a right back. I'd go Sass, if that's how you pronounce his name. Sass? I can't know how to pronounce it, from Morocco. To be fair, you could pick anybody in the Moroccan back line. The Croatian geezer with the looks like Batman, looks like Phantom of the
Guardiol.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he was top. The left backs were a pretty toss pot, to be honest. But I went with Acuna just because he got it over the line. Not that he started every game. In the middle of the park, I'm going with Ambarat. He was all singing, all dancing, midfielder, fantastic. Then you could have said Chiamani, but I'm going to go with Bellingham for the because he was standout as well. He just didn't go as far as Chiamani, but I think he probably played better on balance. Just didn't go as far. Then behind, then you've got Messi, you've got Griezmann, you've got Mbappe. Those three behind the striker of Alvarez because
The Griezmann showed some diversity in his game this tournament. Playing that CM, he was apart. I mean, today he didn't really. He wasn't or the World Cup final. He wasn't really instrumental, but I think the tournament he showed that he could. He's diversifying his game.
You could see him. I mean, some of the stats were that he had some of the most amazing defensive stats, which you don't really associate with Griezmann. He was tracking back, he was making tackles, what have you. So I'd put him in there. And Alvarez was just, I mean, it's like say 4 goals, but he's running non-stop. That goal against, was it Croatia? I mean, that was just pure tenacity. He just kept running. He didn't give up. Got a few lucky bobbles, but if you don't try, it doesn't happen. So yeah, he was fantastic. So that's my best 11. And then player of the tournament, really, Messi's got 7 goals and 3 assists. Or might have more than that. At least 7 goals for sure, and at least 3 assists. It has to be him. Or Mbappe, but because he won it, you got to give it to him, really. You can't. I don't know who else you'd probably even think about other than those two. Neil will probably pick somebody, probably Harry Kane. But anyway, let's see.
Okay, Mr. Hinder, your 11 from Qatar 2022.
Well, let's get some honourable mentions out of the way first.
No, Grealish.
Mason Mount, Sterling. Man, just sadness just pours down my heart when Mason Mount came on and Sterling. Anyway, needless to say, 11. Mine are probably slightly different to these. There's obviously a lot of overlapping because it's impossible to miss out a couple of players. Croatian goalkeeper, number 1 for me. I think that Livakovic was decent, missing great saves. Croatia wouldn't have been the team without him. Hakimi in defence from Morocco. I mean, he's good on foot, but when you see him play in the World Cup and take that Morocco team and his pace, his commitment, and his desire was fantastic. I've also got Acuna as well from Argentina on the left, World Cup winner. To say anything else on that one.
Sorry, how bad? Left backs were not that terrible because they were losing teams. They were not that. I mean, I'm not saying
terrible.
JJ is going to give us a list of good left backs at the World Cup now. Ready? Here we go.
Go on.
No, don't interrupt
Roberto
Neil.
Carlos
Don't
was
interrupt
there.
Neil. Don't interrupt
Roberto
Neil.
Carlos was there. He was definitely one of the best left backs at the tournament, and he still didn't play. Centre backs, I've got Silva for Brazil. Man, his age is just but a number for him. There was a time I think Brazil were like 2-0, 3-0 up, and they continued to let him play. I'm like, just take him off. Let him go and have a bath. Let him have a rest. No, he's continuing to play. And I thought he was fantastic, as poor as Brazil were in certain areas. Vardiol from Croatia as well, of my other centre back. I thought John Stones for England actually played really well for the tournament, and he was almost in there, but we got knocked out too early. Centre of the park, Bellingham. It's massive bias because I'm English, but man, what a standout breakout tournament he had, regardless of who he was from. He was the player that before the tournament that I didn't think that England had. That was that little bit of spark, that little bit of tenacity, somebody that wants to run with the ball, someone that looks like they're interested and can always do something, which was fantastic. Completely underestimated how good he is, and Sancho should take notice of how good a player can be. Musiala from Germany, I would pick as well in there. I know Germany went out early, but man, he was phenomenal. And those two, what a pair! They'd be in the centre of the park, especially if we're looking for a foot team. That's a decent pairing.
Noted.
My favourite player of the whole tournament was De Paul from Argentina. Like, really underrated, just a great work ethic. His passing was good, his tackling was good. It was just, you could just tell that he was in that for the whole team, and everything he did just oozed of team. It wasn't like he was trying to score one of the goals or anything else. He was just, for me, phenomenal. And that's the kind of player that I really like. Griezmann was really good apart from the final, where he was absolutely exactly as we thought he would play before the tournament started. But man, he had a great tournament until the final. So whether he was ill or what, I don't know. But yeah, he was phenomenal. His crossing was reminding me of Beckham-esque. Like those crosses were beautiful. Like Giroud barely had to move for his header against it. It was beautiful. And then up front, it was quite a hard one, really. You got Harry Kane, had a fantastic tournament. And just winding you up here, this is easy. Messi, again, he doesn't do the running, but what a fantastic player to have in your team. And if you work around players like that, you can have them in your team. And it shows that on the grandest stage of them all, I think Argentina almost played a 4-4-2, old school, resolute, quality football with, again, a disservice to Messi, but kind of that Letizia Waddle-esque of just sauntering around the pitch doing whatever they want to do, that used to happen so much in yesteryear of football, but it shows that it can still work now. And I thought that was fantastic. Kind of a throwback to older times, which, even like Baggio-esque, like it was, he definitely is better than all of them, but like the superlatives of just saying he just saunters around a pitch doesn't really do him justice of how well he actually played.
Just with the Waddle mention, like, I thought we might mention him like after that tournament, but not in comparison to Messi, like in comparison to Harry Kane's penalty.
Yeah, obviously. But I like to glide over that. And then imagine like Mbappe was fantastic, and he's not a player that I would have initially heaped a load of praise on. He's kind of like one of those ones all the 8 and 9-year-old kids go on about because he plays for PSG and they've got loads of money and everyone goes. But he had a really good tournament, and I think it was interesting to see how he played out of the shadows of his so-called teammates at PSG. And he definitely was today France's. I mean, obviously, Lloris made a good save right near the end, but he was their standout player today. He dragged them from 80 minutes of near boredom. I think the fans had been bored of it, and even Argentina were bored of the game. They were just passing it around for fun for such a long period of time, and he dragged them through. And unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough. But yeah, he's got a lethal shot on him as well, and some fantastic footwork.
I think that's one point we were talking about Haaland earlier. That's one point where you can compare Mbappe and Haaland. Like, I remember like at one of the games earlier on in the season for Man City where Haaland had like 5 touches, and I don't know if he scored once or twice or 3 times in that game. But same like Mbappe, like he didn't do a lot against England. He did a bit more against Morocco, and he didn't do a lot against Argentina. But bang, like goal. Like he just turns up.
As soon as someone turned off, right, he was on. And I think that's kind of, I think Hakimi did a good job of tracking him for a lot of the game. But he played in different positions against Argentina. But he, again, needs that free roam almost of, you just need to go and do your stuff. Because he knows football. And I know that sounds really, really stupid. And there's so much into tactics and where they put people and what they do. But when you've got people that are working around him, and even Griezmann before the tournament, no one thought he was going to play in the center of the park. Like, no one would have gone that, but they wanted to play as a team, right?
That is testament to the champ, though, man. I think that is when you have a good manager that knows how to play. I think the difference that a lot of managers that would have the French team and still not know what to do with them, but playing Mbappe where he plays Mbappe, giving the Griezmann the freedom. I remember we had one of the episodes we were talking about, he's playing too many strikers, but the Griezmann showed that he can diversify his game. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The boys have given you their best 11 from Qatar 2022. It's been a very good tournament, football-wise, regardless of what you think politically. And Messi and Argentina have lifted the World Cup. But, being who we are, an English podcast, we have to talk about the England team. So, if you let these boys in the studio, they could probably go on and on and on. So I've put down some questions, as I like to do, and maybe feel free to take a stab at it when I ask. The angry one, Gareth Southgate has said he's staying on as England manager. Should he stay on as England manager? And if you don't think he should have, who do you think can come in?
He should stay on if there isn't a better candidate. So as far as I can tell, there isn't a better free candidate right now. So there's no reason why he shouldn't stay on, because you can see he's developing. Yes, he's made some mistakes. Yes, it's a little bit like Groundhog Day in terms of the same mistakes over and over again, not being proactive, etc. But unless you're going to get, assuming the FA want an English manager, then that's going to be what, Potter, maybe Eddie Howe. They're not going to come anywhere soon. So you would probably give him till the Euros and then go after one of those guys. If you don't want an English manager, you don't mind, yeah, there's plenty of managers out there that can come.
You're an England fan. Do you care if the manager is English or not?
Personally, no. But some people might feel differently, because I've heard the argument our best versus their best. But if you win the World Cup, I don't think you give two shits about who the manager was, because the women won. The manager's German. I don't think they care. Dutch, sorry. Apologies, whoever's out there. Same type of accent. Anyway,
what was the apology for then?
Just in case someone's listening. But yeah, so basically, I mean, the Lionesses won the World Cup. I don't think anyone really worried the fact that the manager or manageress, I don't know correct terminology, was a woman. Was not English. No, nobody cares.
Yeah, I think there's good and bad points. Regardless of seeing, there's a whole patriotic stuff. If they're English, that it should be easier for them to get on board. They should know the blueprint. But I think that the key thing is whoever comes in has a clear. Obviously, not replacing it, but if they did, have a clear vision of what they want to do and what that looks like. And that's not just from the first team. That's from the youth set up and the under 21s and everything else. And there's a whole blueprint implemented into a system. But I think the reason it's gone so wrong for England, they had a lot of old guys as our managers, and there was no longevity into bringing them in. And I kind of get that if you've got like the best manager, like if maybe, I don't know, say Pep's decided to give up club football and he comes in and he's 65 and he's just won everything and he's like, okay, like fine. But they need to be hungry and have that desire. But it has to be a fundamental change from top to bottom. I think Southgate going forward needs to show us what he's now doing and how that team's going to go. Do we build around Bellingham after that World Cup? Why the hell wouldn't you look at getting a team around him? We need a fundamental shift of players out and new ones coming in. Not saying that they're all not good enough, but we kind of need the next generation to come in for the Euros and bed in now. Yeah, and bed in now rather than later.
Yeah, but if, like, for example, Haaland or Mbappe, if Mbappe changed nationality and suddenly became English, we'd take him. Nobody would say, oh, well, he's not really English.
100% we'd take him.
But then all that patriotism goes out the window, because ultimately the only thing that matters is winning. That's it. That's the only thing that matters.
Yeah, no, well, I agree to maybe 90%.
Even in war, the only thing that matters is winning.
I think if you get a new manager and you change it, you have to have a progress, and it's not like a month or a week. Yes, we have to qualify for the tournament, but we have to see a progression in that. Maybe we don't win the Euros, but we're looking good for the World Cup. We need to see what they're implementing is actually a fundamental change to what we've currently got and how that's going to benefit everybody. And then we get behind them. But if it comes in and they look dog shit, then everyone's like, oh, they're out. And that's regardless of where they're from. I don't care where the manager's from, as long as they're the best person for the job and the blueprint is clear for everybody to see what we're trying to do. And I think that's fundamentally key, my personal opinion, on whoever's the boss in England.
My question is, if England played very poorly like Greece, well, Greece didn't play poorly. Greece played very defensively, but they won the Euro.
If England played to their strengths.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But if England played like that, and that's how England won a World Cup, in the moment, nobody would complain. Maybe years gone by, if you try to win a second one, you might complain. But in that moment, you don't care how you win. You don't care how you get over the line. You just need to win.
And I 100% agree.
And going out in a semi, or what's the point?
And I said that before the tournament. And I think that maybe that's a difference, because in that tournament, we all came out not feeling depressed with how bad England were. Yeah, it was a rubbish penalty that we went out from. The ref was poor. There's 1,000 excuses, right? But actually, you come out from that game going, we weren't actually that bad in it. We were unlucky at points, and we could have potentially gone further
and win.
I said that before. I'd rather a skanky own goal in the 91st minute. I'd have been happy with that. But we've all come out going, actually, we're quite positive about it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I suppose we're all like, that's fine for Southgate to continue. I don't think anyone's going, I mean, there's obviously Twitter's full of people saying that Southgate should be gone and killed and everything else that's going on.
Well, I mean, talking about Southgate, should Southgate stay? He has decided he's staying. One of the better reasoning, and I know how Dunc is not a big fan of Southgate. However, Dunc actually gave, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that follow us, Dunc actually gave Southgate some sort of props by saying, the way the team had been playing, especially how they play against Senegal, nothing too wonderful, but he gave him some sort of props. Simon Jordan from TalkSport, he said he feels Southgate has done enough. He also feels he didn't understand why Southgate was rewarded with a longer contract before the World Cup. He felt the FA was saying, regardless of what you do, there you go, you're going to be our manager. He also believes that in terms of a tactical change against the French, that Southgate was not good enough. He felt that you could see that the French were coming back into the game before they scored. And in terms of substitutions like Sterling, who just came back from a long trip, he played Sterling when they had other players. Tactically, that game against the French, do you think Southgate got it wrong, Big Dunc? And the next question is, Southgate, I believe, is the most successful English manager since the 1966 team. Who do you think, because I know you're, and the Angry One mentioned it, at the moment, there don't seem to be anybody that's free for the job. So do you think he got things tactically wrong against the French? And and I'm sure you still want him out, who would you replace him with that is free? They don't have to be English.
It was a real emotional roller coaster. Like you said to Mike earlier, you've seen a lot of World Cups. I saw the hand of God, watched it on telly. That's how many World Cups I've seen. Mike's shaking his head. Yeah, I'm that old. Like this, I think this is probably the most gutting exit from a tournament I've ever experienced. Because I think
hand of God,
huh?
Worse than when we went out the hand of God.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Well, I was only like 9 then. I wouldn't have experienced. I wouldn't have been like as passionate as I am now about football. Mature. I mean, I saw it. I think that's the most gutting tournament exit I've ever experienced. Did he get it tactically right? The starting lineup, I was happy that he didn't bring Mount and Sterling back in and that he went with what had worked in the previous round. But then, like, the criticisms you just said are probably still valid. I mean, it wasn't the same as the Euros where Italy were coming back in and he could have done something about it. I think France just, sucker punched us, and you're not going to have all one-way traffic in a game. But then one of the criticisms I would say of Southgate, like, his substitutions are 99% of the time like for like. He doesn't do anything tactical. We'll take off Foden for Rashford. We'll take off Saka for Grealish. Whoever it is, he just does a like for like. And in that French game, like although he didn't do it, he didn't start. What were his two substitutions? Mount and Sterling. Like
Mount got the penalty though.
He did get the penalty, but like when you're looking at what Gareth Southgate did in that game, he's just bringing on two players that he were in his starting lineup at the start of the tournament and were out of form. Like, and so his plan to try and get that game and get back into it was to bring on two out of form players that haven't performed particularly well when they were in the starting lineup for the team. So that would be a criticism there. I mean, I think that, like I said, the tactics from the start were fine and we played a good game. But I don't like. I'm a bit more positive about him than I was going into the tournament. But there's still this. I don't think we'll ever win anything under Southgate.
If you compare sorry, go on.
Yeah, and if you think that, then him staying on till next tournament, you just see that as just another tournament where we're not going to win it. So I'm not. Like I said, it was an emotional ride, and after it, I was thinking, you know what, I wouldn't mind like if he stayed on till the Euros, and now I'm thinking, well, I probably would mind actually.
So who would you get in that is free?
Who would you get in that's free? If I had to pick one name at the minute that's free, I'd probably go for Pochettino. Tuchel was mentioned, but I think I would go for Pochettino. You were just having that chat about foreign coaches. No, it doesn't matter if the coach is foreign, but because the FA ballsed it up so much with Capello and Ericsson that they've foreign coaches have got a bad press in England, and like
but actually, both those coaches have managed in the Prem as well, which is which may help when dealing with the English mentality.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I was going to say about the tactics, compared to Deschamps, for example, Deschamps today when it got a bit on top and they were trying to get back into the game, he changed it. At one point, it looked like they were playing 4-2-4. Midfield was emptied out completely. So there's a change of shape there. But with Southgate, like you say, he doesn't generally, unless those changes of shape are so subtle that nobody can see it. It looks like he doesn't even change. Even if you keep the same personnel, he doesn't even change the formation. Say, okay, I don't know, Saka go up top or Foden go in the middle or let's go 4-4-2. He just seems to just keep to the same formation with different players or just wait for somebody to do something magical.
Yeah, so the one time where he did it and it worked was obviously Germany in the Euros, where he went 3 at the back. Like that was the only time. But I don't know. I can't think of many games where he's tactically changed things in the middle of a game.
Waits too long.
Yeah, and have you seen the stat doing the rounds with Southgate? Anyone know it?
No.
24 games against top 10 ranked teams in the world. How many has he won?
No,
1 maybe.
4
what, competitive games.
4.
Who those 4 that we beat?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not looking into it that deep.
Germany is definitely one. Well, one of the things I wanted to mention, so a few more questions in England. Bear with me, people. Mr. Hinder, has Harry Maguire done enough to redeem himself?
I mean, I said before the tournament that I was happy that he was there. He hasn't let him down. As an England player, he's been fine. He hasn't let anyone down. As a club player, he's dog shit.
He could have done better against Giroud though for that second goal.
Yeah, maybe. There's fine. That game was such a fine margin of a loss that it could have gone either way. I get your point with Southgate that he doesn't change things up maybe radically. I mean, the change that he does is left and right wingers swap over and Kane drops deeper after a certain period of time or then pops back up. That's literally, I think, the level of change that we do. But maybe in tournament football, that is needed. France changed it up today and still came out with the same result as England did and lost. So ultimately, it's fine margins that win a game. Argentina didn't change it up and hobbled over the line beautifully in the end. So
are you on about the final? Because they did change it up over the course of the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in the final, did they?
Argentina but both just of those carried on
hobbling through.
England didn't get to extra time.
Yeah, but you're still out. So, I mean, I'd be just as gutted if we came second as we did.
Are you saying regardless of whether you change or not, what matters is the result?
The win's the only thing that we care about. I said it before the tournament. I don't care how we win. I'm not interested if our football is amazing.
But the change facilitates the win, surely.
I understand what you're saying in terms of, you don't care whatever, as long as we win. But the question here is understanding and knowing that your manager you have, when things are down, he would actually at least try to change. So
yeah, but that doesn't always work.
Says,
if he changes it up,
but it doesn't mean you shouldn't.
But if you change it up and it doesn't work, but if you change up and it doesn't work, you're like, oh, those subs are crap. Like if we all knew Sterling and Mount weren't going to change the game. Mount got the penalty, and I was like, if that's the only thing you do, that's the best thing you can do all tournament. That's fine. It gave us a chance to get back into the game, and but we knew Sterling wasn't going to change it. But what if Sterling had changed it and we were like, oh, what great substitutions he's made. Like when the French manager brought on, I can't remember the young striker's name, and he scored a goal within 40 seconds, right? I didn't think he played that well today. The commentators did it. You should have, but he didn't, did he today? That's the problem, right?
Yeah, but that's not Deschamps' fault.
No, and I 100% agree. But if he doesn't score and doesn't perform well, then that's just the shit of the luck, right? Yeah. Sterling is a good quality player, but unfortunately hasn't performed this season and probably much of last at all. But Southgate had that fate, and that's why I'd like to see, and I said earlier, a change in who we're having in and the personnel change. How do we do that? What does that look like? How is that going to go forward? I'm hoping those conversations have been had with the FA, and they're like, right, what do we do? Are we going to keep Harry Kane in the team? And if we do keep Harry Kane in the team,
isn't that down to the manager though?
Well, that surely is a conversation with the FA and the manager, right? Of what's going on. And if we're going to keep Kane in a team, how do we then facilitate him dropping deeper and deeper? Do we then have, like, I would have liked to see Wilson play more. Do you know what I mean? Like in the tournament.
4-4-2.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I would have liked this, that. But if that had then not worked out, Southgate would have been like, I should have carried on. And I'd have been like, how did you change it? So hindsight 20 2020 vision is really easy for all of us to look back and go, oh, we could have done this, we could have done that. We don't know what the result would have been.
No, but you could see it was very unlikely that
the only thing I want to see, though, is from the change is how are we changing from what we've currently got to going into the next tournament? Because Duncan's right. We're not going to win the tournament with the current personnel and tactics that we're currently using. That needs a change. And there's no reason why Southgate can't be that person, because he does. Like, Bellingham was amazing. I thought Stones had a good tournament. Maguire played well. I probably wouldn't have played Pickford now. I don't think he's England's number one. That needs a change.
So who do you think is England's number one then?
I would have gone with Pope. I think Pope is far better for me.
The thing about, based on what you guys are saying in terms of tactics, so Dunc, that we all know, if he before this tournament, if he had seen Southgate somewhere, would have probably told him a few things. But he was, after that tournament, and in terms of tactics, so against France, he did like for like, but England was a better team on the day. So he didn't need to possibly really change tactics. The problem I think you have is that the players that he brought in for like didn't seem to be on form.
But let me just read out this timeline from the game, okay? France score in the 78th minute. In the 79th minute, he brings on Mount and Sterling. That was it. That was his reaction to the goal. So they were like for like. He left it another 6 minutes and brought on Rashford. And then he didn't bring Grealish on until the 8th minute of injury time. Those were his substitutions. Like, I can't think of any other team in this tournament. Look at the game today as well, even in normal time, that made fewer substitutions than Southgate does. Or
they should have made subs before half time.
Yeah. The Grealish one was rubbish though. Like, that was pointless.
That was
capped for the boys. That was capped for the boys.
That was. You could have put someone out and had any game time, right? If you were going to that was just pointless.
One of the things that Simon Jordan cracks me up. I mean, if you ever listen to this, man, that guy cracks me up. Yeah. One of the things that he did say was, in terms of Southgate being there, and when you look at all the tournaments, even if England has, semi-final, then final of the Euros, and this World Cup, he doesn't see anything changing. And that the advantage Southgate has is that there's nobody out there that really, because of course the FA split between should we give a foreign manager or should we not? But now my last question on England is this: when you look at the current crop of players, England have possibly one of the youngest teams that were in this tournament, and that should be encouraging in terms of an advantage, because these players can all grow up to become, Euros is just 2 years down the line. Now with the Southgate, Mr. Hinder talks about blueprint. One of the advantages Southgate had, was, it's under 21 manager. He saw the young players coming in, so he knows who he can pick from and the strengths and weaknesses. At any point, is all the fault on Southgate, or can we actually, my word, people, player accountability? Is this team going to grow and mature to the point that in 2 years' time, that we can solely just blame Southgate if it goes wrong, other than player
accountability? But you can blame him now, because of the choices. He can't control what you do on the pitch. He can't control missing sitters or penalties or slipping, blah, blah, blah. He can't control that. But what he can control is who's on the pitch and where they play and how they play. Harry Kane's been dropping deep for long. Yeah, he got assists, but really he's a finisher. That's what he should be doing. He's not in the box scoring. You make the wrong choices at times. And I think he's too loyal sometimes, because other teams will take off. Like, let's forget about my thing with Kane. If Kane's not playing well and there's somebody else on the bench, Kane can either change role, like drop deep like Griezmann, like fully actually play midfield and play another striker ahead of him, or he can take him off. Griezmann got taken off today when he wasn't playing well. But he will never do that. It's not only about Kane, but in general, he will generally stick to the players he likes. He'll give them sometimes maybe too much time to turn it around, because he has so much faith in them. And you need to be ruthless. In tournament football, you need to be ruthless, because you can get knocked out just like that. And I don't think he's ruthless enough to say, you know what, this guy's not playing, Saka's not playing because or Kane's not playing, or I'm going to go this way, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all out, I don't care what the press say, I'm going 4-4-2. He's not ruthless enough. And ruthless managers normally win.
Well, with the current crop of England players, young Bellingham looking amazing, as Mr. Hinder says, maybe you start building teams around players like that. Harry Kane, if he keeps his form, probably has He would make the Euros. Will he make the next World Cup? We don't know.
I
We'll
know,
see
depends.
the turnaround in terms of what Southgate would do to actually help England moving forward. Amazing World Cup, ladies and gentlemen. Qatar 2022 started really dull with Ecuador versus Qatar and ended up really nicely with Messi raising the golden trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a good cover for us on GRC Football TV. I don't think anybody got Argentina as a prediction. Did anybody say that? No?
No.
Can't even
No.
remember our predictions. We'll have to dig them out.
Well,
Dunc, you picked Iran. JJ, you went for Belgium, didn't you? I swear you
yeah, I
went for
did.
Belgium.
I went for Belgium,
Yeah.
and Lukaku let me down, man. It's Lukaku. I blame Lukaku.
Lukaku lets everybody down.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. You can find all our material and content on our website, grctv.co.uk, and on all our socials at GRC Football TV. For now, it is goodbye from Mr. Hinder.
Take it easy.
Goodbye from Big Dunk.
Thanks for watching.
And of course, goodbye from the number one Hurricane fan, the angry one.
Adios, amigos.
Till then, ladies and gentlemen, more things.